Hi, today we're speaking with Rebecca Angel. Rebecca is one of the audiologists and regional support managers for Oticon. She's going to tell us a little bit about brain hearing and how Oticon's got a little bit of a different approach into helping you to restore your hearing. Hey, thanks again for joining us on my interview series. As you know, and thank you for doing this, is we every week I'm trying to introduce our audience to someone that has some kind of relation to the world of audiology.
Yep, so my name is Rebecca Angel. I am an audiologist, so I graduated from UBC about 4.5 years ago now. And I've been working for Oticon for about 3 years. It'll be 3 years in August. And currently I cover like clinical support, in-person training, sales support in Alberta and Saskatchewan. And then I also cover the pediatric, I'm the pediatric representative for Alberta, Saskatchewan, and also BC.
Thank you again for all your help during the time we were away. I know that our team had a lot of time to spend with you, and you brushed up our skills in audiology and helped us with understanding some of the new things that are happening at Oticon, some of your new products. And you even helped us with this whole thing around remote support. Maybe you can tell me about, some of the cool things with remote support that we've really been trying to tap into now more than ever with COVID-19.
Our remote support is called Remote Care. So it's an app-based software that's really, really easy to use, intuitive, as long as you have like a tablet or a smartphone. It's something that you can use with your patients. All it requires is an email address. And basically you can connect with your patient remotely. So, regardless of the pandemic and COVID-19 in the world, I think it's going to be useful, when things go back to normal. It helps you with flexibility, so you can use remote support after hours. You can use it remotely in a specific situation. So let's say you have a patient that really wants you to help them, right before they go to the coffee shop. That's something that you can do because you can meet with them remotely while they're at home. So really handy software to have in the market.
Yeah, no, and I think you're right, because even for ourselves, we have a lot of patients that drive really far to come and see us, right? So I think, just having that ability to go and do something like this saves everyone, a little bit of time. And I know during the winters when it's really cold, no one wants to leave the house anyways, right? So I think this would come in really handy. What kind of uptake are you seeing in terms of remote support?
We have some numbers like that we can run to see how many people have signed up. And so we launched it right when COVID was happening. So like early mid-March. And we've had a huge uptake from now until then. So it's definitely something that people are utilizing, making fine-tune adjustments. It's nice because it's kind of face-to-face. It's like a FaceTime or a Skype, similar to Zoom. So you can see each other, you can hear each other. Yeah, so it's been really popular. I don't know exactly how many people are using it, but it's gone from like 0 to, multiple hundreds. So
is it really easy to use? I mean, do I need to, employ the services of the Best Buy Geek Squad to figure out how to do this? But
no, you don't. As long as you know your email, like if you can download an app on your smartphone, you can use Remote Care.
I know that, you've been with Oticon for a few years now, and I know that we love your products, but, a lot of times, our patients ask us, what's the difference between Oticon and, how is it different from some of the other brands out there? So what is the difference? Why is Oticon better or worse?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think there's a lot of things that help to differentiate Oticon from other hearing aid manufacturers. I think the biggest would be, we're always making these great advances in innovative technology when it comes to hearing aids, and like the chip technology that's in those devices that are really powering those devices. Our brain hearing approach is something that's been around a really long time. And our brain hearing approach is really the fundamental understanding of how the brain makes sense of sound. And so we know that we listen with our ears, but it's really the brain that helps determine what you know, what does that sound mean, and helps make sense of what you hear. And you know, once we hear something, the brain has to do all these things simultaneously to understand what's going on. So we have to orient ourselves in space and, you know, where is that sound coming from? We have to use both ears together. We have to focus on what we would like to hear. I have a really annoying lawnmower happening somewhere outside, but my brain knows to tune that out and focus on what you're saying. So that requires a lot of effort. And we have to recognize, you know, sounds that are familiar and make sense of that. So all of the features that are built inside Oticon hearing aids are really done so with the brain in mind. So, you know, all of our advanced features using both ears together, helping you focus on what you would like to hear, things like selective attention. And I think the biggest difference or step outside of other manufacturers is our Open Sound Navigator feature. So without getting too technical, our Open Sound Navigator features really shifted away from our traditional directional microphones and moved into a more open sound paradigm. And what I mean by that is when you put yourself in a really challenging environment, like with multiple speakers, traditional directionalities like these front-facing microphones really aren't adequate to handle a situation like that. So when we launched Open and Open Sound Navigator, it was a whole new way of dealing with multiple talkers in a challenging environment. So we have access to all speakers in the environment, whether they're in front of you, to the side of you, behind you, and really rapid noise removal that's going to help people perform better in noise. And we've done lots of studies that looked at Open Sound Navigator versus traditional microphones, and not only are people performing better in noise, they're actually exerting a lot less effort in the meantime. So it's a really awesome feature to have.
A lot of our patients are very excited to, you know, see a different approach as well too. I know that the way that I've always explained it is, you know, traditionally hearing aids, you point with the nose and that's what you listen to, right? But with you guys, you know, you're kind of hearing, you know, everything all around you. So I guess the question that, you know, is always asked is, hey, if I can hear everything, isn't that worse? Like if I go to a restaurant, isn't it gonna make it really hard for me to go and hear Rebecca, the person in front of me?
Having this kind of closed down, narrow beam directionality, A, is not good for the brain because we know that's not a natural phenomenon. The other thing is that we have technology in the open platform that's called Multispeaker Access Technology, or MSAT for short. And that's giving priority to speakers in the environment. So you're going to have access to all speakers in the environment, but whatever is nearest and clearest to you is going to be the loudest and easiest for you to hear. If somebody says my name, you know, 10 feet away, I still have access to that. It's just not as loud. We're trying to mimic our natural hearing as much as possible. A, to support the brain. B, to give patients the ability to selectively attend to what they would like to hear. If you don't have access to that, you're never going to get better at selective attention. And that's something that we're looking more at with research and supporting the brain. So we've actually done some studies that compared in you know, a beam-forming hearing aid that's looking at speech in the front versus open that's looking at speech from the front. And both performed as well as each other. So we know that having access to the rest of your environment is not hindering your ability to hear the person that's in front of you either.
What kind of advice would you actually offer someone that is contemplating hearing aids, or that you know, has some hearing loss, maybe it's mild loss, and they're not really sure if they're ready for it? What would you typically tell these patients?
So after a hearing loss is diagnosed, the average time it takes for someone to actually do something about it or get hearing aids is about 7 years. So that's a really long time. And the longer you wait before you get hearing aids or, you know, get treated for your hearing loss, the harder it is for your brain to adapt. You know, so we're always going back to the brain. But if you've gone 7 years with a hearing loss and then you put a hearing aid on, it's going to be really overwhelming for you. And so the sooner you go through that process, the easier it's going to be for you to adapt. And also, like, the sooner you'll realize how much you were really missing. My dad was one of those people. And I actually asked him this question, like, what would you say to someone that was contemplating hearing aids? And he had a few things to say, like, number one, it can't hurt to have a baseline test done by a professional. At least you know where you're at. Similar to getting your eyes checked, just a baseline measure that you can have. Second is, if a hearing loss is diagnosed, it's always good to make sure that you understand what your hearing loss means. It can be really easy for us as audiologists to understand it right away, but ask the questions, make sure you understand what your hearing loss looks like and what that means for you in your day-to-day life. And then last was, find out all of your options so that you can make a really informed choice. And of course, also when he put them on, just had no idea, this is what the trees sound like when they blow in the wind. Like, you don't even realize how much you're missing. So he, of course, had wished that he had done it sooner as well.
Yeah, but I think you make a good point, right? Our society is, really downplayed the importance of hearing, I'd say, right? I'll get my eyes checked every year. I'll get my teeth cleaned every 6 months, I'll even do an annual, right, with my family physician. But hearing's one of those things that, if I wasn't in this industry, I wouldn't have gotten the hearing test, right? And, I know that a lot of patients that come through our door, the first time they get a hearing test is when they're well into their 50s or 60s.
I think it's becoming more in the forefront, as the years go past, and technology is also so advanced now that, some of these hearing aids are really cool. They all connect to your phone and computer, and it's just, I think and hope that things are changing, and that average of 7 years is going to become less and less.
Rebecca, I want to thank you again for your time. This was super fun. I think you're always a wealth of information. And again, thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for having me. It's an honor.